Hello and welcome everyone to our virtual press conference featuring West Virginia elected officials along with climate advocates who have come together today to speak in support of significant investment in clean energy priorities to be included in the Build Back Better budget. Thanks again to our event sponsors, Mom's Clean Air Force and Blue Green Alliance, and to all of our speakers for making the time to prepare for and join our event today. For our agenda, we'll have 2 to 3 minutes of formal remarks from each of our speakers who will be visible and audible via their video. At the end of the formal remarks, we'll have a brief Q&A session where members of the media can raise their hand and indicate they have a question so we can work through them. I now want to introduce Lucia Valentine, West Virginia organizer for Mom's Clean Air Force. Lucia, the microphone is yours.
Hello and welcome everybody. It's so nice to be here with all of you, even just virtually. So thank you for taking the time today. My name is Lucia Valentine and we are here for our Clean Vehicle press conference where West Virginia elected officials, labor leaders, and public health advocates have come together today to speak out in support of bold federal investments in clean energy, expanding the electric vehicle market, building electric vehicle infrastructure, and supporting advanced manufacturing as part of the current Build Back Better budget being debated in Congress right now. Again, I'm the West Virginia organizer with Mom's Clean Air Force, and I'm excited to be a part of this event and a member of Mom's Clean Air Force. We are co-hosting today's events with Blue Green Alliance, and it is streaming on our Facebook page. I want to make a few remarks to provide some context to our event today. We are here as we recover and rebuild from an unprecedented public health and economic crisis of the past year, which also includes responding to the ongoing climate crisis that we face. And just as there is no silver bullet for an economic recovery, there is no single solution to addressing climate change. Rather, we must make several different actions to boost West Virginia's economy, create jobs, and target different sources of pollution. Today, we are here to talk specifically about the need for bold investments in clean energy production and building a pollution-free transportation sector. These actions can move West Virginia forward in modernizing our transportation sector, creating good paying jobs right here in our state while reducing the carbon pollution that has contributed to increasing extreme weather events that we're seeing across the country. This presents a win for our economy and for our health and safety. And we are asking that Senator Manchin support the Build Back Better budget proposal that makes significant, bold, and ambitious investments in clean energy production and manufacturing while expanding the market for electric vehicles and building new electric vehicle infrastructure. Those investments, along with other priorities, will cut pollution, boost our economy, and create jobs. Time is running out and we need to act. So while there are federal level actions, our federal, state, and local government must work together to ensure efforts are complementary and effective. I, along with our other panelists, will elaborate on these items and how we can strengthen and grow a clean energy transportation sector right here in West Virginia, if Senator Manchin and Congress support the Build Back Better budget. I now want to introduce our next speaker, Mayor Steve Williams.
Thanks, Lucia. It's a joy to be able to be with you and Delegate Barach and Delegate Hornbuckle as we move forward, and certainly to be able to be with our friends in labor and Skip Bailey representing IBEW Local 317. The way that we move forward is we move forward together by collaborating with one another. There clearly is an urgent need for Congress to pass a budget that makes big, bold, and immediate investments in clean energy to create millions of family supporting clean energy jobs, building resilient communities, and reducing pollution that is fueling weather disasters and threatening public health. It's our moment now to go big, to be bold, and to put more people to work. One thing that we've come to understand in Huntington is boldness is neither reckless or thoughtless. Boldness has genius and magic in it. And we urge Senator Joe Manchin to continue his leadership on clean energy growth and to be supporting the Build Back Better budget that makes investments to cut pollution, creating good paying union jobs, and tackle the extreme weather crisis. Time is running out, and West Virginia needs our elected officials to act now on energy, pollution, and jobs. What we experienced last week with the storms that came through our area, and particularly in Huntington. We were spared the effects of Hurricane Ida, but just before that, in a 1 hour period of time, we had 5 inches of rain that came down upon our city. And no matter what kind of system that you have in place, whether it's a 21st century stormwater system or a 1950s and 1940s stormwater system like we have in Huntington, is that you're not going to be able to stop that kind of flooding. This budget is about creating jobs and lowering costs, investing in clean technologies that will make things more affordable for middle class and working families, simply by lowering electricity bills and saving people money at the gas pump, all the while saving on heating and cooling costs through energy efficiency. A Build Back Better budget will make investments we need to put people back to work in good paying jobs. I can point to one living, breathing example right here in Huntington, and that's Solar Holler. Solar Holler is a solar panel installation company. It's partnered with the Coalfield Development Corporation over the last several years to retrain dozens of former manufacturing workers and former coal miners to install solar roof panels. The key is that being bold has magic and genius in it. And I'm pleased to know that Senator Manchin has been leading in this, and we're relying upon him to continue moving forward in supporting a Build Back Better budget so that we are in a position in the Ohio River Valley and throughout Appalachia to be able to bring green jobs, build manufacturing, and be able to make sure that we're getting clean energy as we continue to move our community forward. So it's my honor to be able to introduce to you Delegate Jim Barach from the Kanawha Valley. Delegate Barach.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. Always a tough act to follow you, but I'll give it my best shot. You're doing a great job out there in Huntington. Big fan. All right, as a meteorologist, everybody, climate change, I can tell you, I've been studying it for several years. It is a reality. And 2020, as a matter of fact, came out as the warmest year in history, in Earth's history, tied with 2016. Those were the 2 hottest years we've ever had. Now, they were both presidential election years, so maybe that added a little heat to the equation. But the fact is that the warmest 6 years we've ever had have all been since 2015. That's pretty much every year. So the biggest threat from climate change is an increase in extreme weather events. And Mayor Williams just pointed out, Huntington just had some severe flooding just a few days ago. And of course, we had the ice storm out that way as well. So we've had some severe weather events around here. We had the wildfires out in the West. We still have those out there. Record highs in Seattle. Seattle, Washington, been around for 180 years. 3 100-degree days in their history. They had 3 in a row this year. Portland, Oregon, 107 was their all-time highest record high temperature. They beat it 3 consecutive days this year, again, in 180 years of record keeping. And one of those days was 116, broke it by 9 degrees. These are major, major events. All-time record rainfall in Tennessee just last week, 17 inches in one day. The Northeast had record rainfall and flooding from Ida. Texas had the freeze that shut down the power grid. Now, some effects from global warming are actually beneficial, but by far most are destructive. We've got record heat, rainfall, and flooding. We're seeing the snowpack being decreased because of more rain instead of snow, and also warmer temperatures. And of course, we have heat waves, which are killing people every summer, especially the older people that can't afford air conditioning. So extreme weather events put an incredible stress on our already fragile infrastructure. That's why we need this legislation. We need to move away from carbon-producing fossil fuels that will reverse the effects of climate change and cut back on pollution. And of course, getting more electric vehicles on the road will help on both of those. So I'm urging Senator Manchin to support the Build Back Better budget. We're talking a lot of money, but it's not an expenditure. It's an investment. We're talking an investment that will go on for decades, and it will help this country grow, and it'll help us reverse the effects of climate change. And so I certainly urge the passage of that, and I urge everyone to do what we can to see if we can cut back on fossil fuels and cut back climate change and build up our infrastructure and make this country a lot better. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague in the House of Delegates, a very dedicated gentleman, one of my favorite colleagues out there. I love working with him, and that is Delegate Sean Hornbuckle.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the intro. Good to see you. And Mayor Steve Williams, I can't say enough about you. A personal friend, a mentor, and probably the best daggone mayor in all of the land. And so I appreciate all of the words that you said. And you couldn't say it any better. We got to be bold. We got to be bold now. The Build Back Better budget, it's everything that we need. I've been in the legislature since 2014, and my three biggest things have always been economic development, education, and try to enhance the social scene here in West Virginia. And what I think and what I know is this will do all three of those things. First of all, when we're looking at it from a macro level, taking into account labor, all right, good paying union jobs, looking at our business and our commerce community, this is going to help them so much. And then we talk about from an education standpoint, with adding innovation, all right, in here in central part of Appalachia, we're going to give boosts not only to Marshall University and West Virginia universities, but all the other institutions of higher education around to be able to jump in and pile in on this thing. By nature, I am a financial advisor. So you all mentioned the word investments. And I can tell you for the past year and a half, I have been selling the heck out of different types. I'm not going to tell you which ones, all right, but different types of electrical cars. It is the new thing. And it would be crazy for us to not jump at this opportunity to start producing things such as electric vehicles, the buses, the trucks. I mean, it's just where our country is trending to. It would pay huge dividends. And then finally, families. To make sure that a hardworking family, okay, a middle-class family can now get back in the game in America and keep on thriving. And personally, being from West Virginia, I mean, for so long, the coal miners, whether in the South or in the North, all the manufacturing plants, they have carried our water. It is time for us to repay them and make sure we can put money back in their pockets so they can keep on ticking and making a good living. And just in short, I want to make sure that I'm asking Senator Manchin, and as I say a lot, Mayor Steve knows, I call him Uncle Joe. I just want you to continue to do what you've always done, which is bring home the bacon for West Virginia. And this Build Back Better budget, that's what it's going to do. So I'm asking you, Uncle Joe, to pass that. And now I want to introduce you all to my good friend, Skip Bailey with the IBEW Local 317.
Skip, I think your line is muted. So if you want to unmute your line.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I gave Sean some real nice words there, and he didn't even get a chance to hear them. But anyways, thank you, everyone, for inviting me to join this today. But like I said, my name is Skip Bailey, and I'm with the IBEW here in Huntington. And we represent over probably 1,300 plus members on the inside and outside construction branch. And just to talk a little bit about what I've seen going on in the past year. Solar projects, Hillsboro, Ohio, Kentucky, AEP has got projections of solar problems. But the only problem with that is I'm not hearing a whole lot about that kind of stuff in West Virginia. Through talking to some of our members the other day, they was actually putting a Tesla charger in. But of course, that was in the state of Ohio. You know, if there was ever a time, you know, to get on board with this Build Back Better budget, it would be right now. You know, let's be ahead of the curve. I mean, you know, we all hear about General Motors. They're all 2035. They're all going to have electric vehicles. You know, let's don't wait till they're all out and then start doing this. Let's get on board now. You know, Mayor Williams, thank you for the nice words. He mentioned Solar Holler. Solar Holler partnered partnered or joined with us, I'm going to say approximately 2 years ago. Since then, last week, I gave them 6 new employees, and these are good jobs. I mean, with good benefits, good wages, and they continue to grow. So if you don't think that solar and clean energy is the way to go, and I know Mayor Williams also mentioned the infrastructure, the flooding. I was a victim of that last week, when it hit. I had to try 3 different routes to get home. So, if there ever was a time, to get behind the Build Better budget, right now, I would love to urge Senator Manchin, Capito, and anyone in the state to get behind this. And I think it could put West Virginia out ahead of the curve. And with that being said, I think I may be the last speaker. So, but I thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Skip. We're going to pass it over back to Lucia.
Thank you. Thank you, Skip. Well, I stand here today as a proud West Virginian and again as the West Virginia organizer for Mom's Clean Air Force. We work to protect children from air pollution and climate change. And growing up in West Virginia on the banks of the Potomac River, I've been no stranger to the negative environmental impacts of heavy industry and dirty energy on my state. And that is why now more than ever, we are seeing the extreme weather impacts like flooding and heat waves here in West Virginia play out as a direct result of the pollution from our transportation sector. Just last week, my family and I had to leave our home for several days in Shepherdstown. We're up in the Panhandle due to flooding in our community. And so the system clearly no longer supports us, and it is time for our state to support clean energy growth and investments in the electric vehicle market in order to improve public health, protect our environment, and create the economic opportunity for all of West Virginians. West Virginians deserve clean air, and without ambitious investments in clean vehicles and infrastructure, automakers will continue to make dirtier cars that pollute the air and harm our health. Children in environmental justice communities are disproportionately affected by air pollution and extreme weather. And the climate priorities in the Build Back Better budget are a real opportunity to help low-income communities in West Virginia, as they're the ones most impacted by climate change. And they would benefit the most from the massive investments in clean energy jobs and cleaner air. Millions of children still ride diesel-powered school buses, which exposes them to harmful diesel pollution that interferes with their health and ability to learn. And diesel exhaust is a known human carcinogen, and the tiny particles of pollution can lodge deep in the lungs and cause irritation. In addition to short-term problems like coughing, headaches, nausea, and breathing these fumes has been shown to damage both the lungs and the heart permanently. So making health matters worse, children are exposed to more diesel pollution inside the bus than outside of the bus, making their commute to school all the more toxic. Tailpipe pollution can lead to increased respiratory disease like asthma, and this is important because over 33,000 children and 160,000 adults suffer from asthma across West Virginia. So pollution from cars and trucks dirties our air and threatens our health, while electric vehicles produce zero tailpipe pollution and protect our health and our budget. And particularly during a public health, climate, and economic crisis, we need Congress to invest in clean transportation as absolutely essential to meeting our nation's climate goals, reducing air pollution, improving public health, achieving environmental justice, and spurring the economy. And with 60% of West Virginia voters agreeing that it is important to invest in zero-emission vehicles like buses to reduce air pollution around children, we urge Senator Manchin to support big, bold, and crucial climate action that improves the lives and families of communities all across our beautiful state. So I thank you guys so much for joining us today and each for speaking, and I'll turn it back over to Kevin.
Thank you, Lucia, and thank you to all of our speakers. That's the end of our formal remarks portion of our event. We now have a few minutes for question and answer. For members of the media, if you have a question related to our event topic, you can use the raise your hand function to indicate if you have a question. I'll work through those questions one at a time, and I can unmute your line so you can ask the speaker your question. And before you get to your question, just ask that you state your name, media outlet, and if you have a specific question for the panelists you're directing it to. So please use the raise your hand function to indicate if you have a question. Let's go to Mike Toney. Mike, you just have to unmute your line.
Yes, Mike Toney from the Charleston Gazette Mail. Just wanted to throw this out to all the speakers and ask what what your highest priorities are for the Senate Democratic $3.5 trillion budget framework that aren't included in the bipartisan Senate infrastructure deal that would help out the region, whether that be a clean electricity payment program, civilian conservation corps, methane emissions tax. Just wanted to see what the highest priorities were that haven't currently passed any chamber of Congress at this point.
Let me take a stab. One thing as I start to talk about the bills that are making their way or meandering their way through the Congress is that Delegate Barach and Delegate Hornbuckle can attest to this, even at the state level. They're in a constant state of change. And I keep hearing through my own networks, through the National League of Cities and the Conference of Mayors, how much they're changing. I will tell you what our priorities within Huntington are on hard infrastructure. We absolutely need to have the capacity to be able to build up our broadband structure, and every small community in the state needs to have access to that. Secondly, we have to have, for every community in the state, and have access to clean water. Can't be in West Virginia and Southern West Virginia in particular, or other areas that are very rural, can't afford to be the equivalent of a third world country when we don't have clean water that we can rely upon. But particularly with broadband, that gives us the capability of being able to compete with anybody in the world. And I think that's a clear opportunity. What we experienced last week with the flooding that was coming throughout the state, what we experienced in Huntington, one thing that we've come to understand in talking with our federal agency partners is that when we're dealing with levees and such as that is a cost that is borne only on the local government, And presently, and I've had conversations with both of our senators about this, is that presently, this is something that we have to have. Imagine this, in Huntington, we have 17 different pump stations. One of them, it costs $30 million to replace. Another one costs $100 million to replace. And there's supposedly no federal support to be able to come in and be able to build those. And if they go down, and they were built in the 1940s and 1950s, if they go down, half of the city floods. And what we have to have is in this, being bold does have magic and genius in it. And that gives us the opportunity to make sure that we protect our businesses, protect our families, protect our neighborhoods, protect our community. And the hard infrastructure, when you're just thinking of just those two things, $130 million just for 2 pump stations in Huntington. Imagine the entire route of the Ohio River and the entire nation. There's bound to be billions, if not trillions of dollars that has to go into this. That's why Build Back Better is absolutely necessary for our members of Congress to support.
I agree with Mayor Williams. I think he makes some good points. And I'm not worried so much about what's not in the bills. It is what is in the bills. And we need roads. We need water and sewer lines here. We need, of course, high-speed internet. And those are our main focus right now to get those done. But we really have a lot to catch up with. And so that's where our start is at. And after that, we'll worry about the other stuff later. But those are the main things. Those are the things that we need to do to attract people and to attract businesses into this region. And good to talk with you again, Mike.
Yeah, if I could just follow up quickly, I just wanted to see to what extent have any of you been in contact with our congressional delegation, specifically Senators Manchin or Capito, and if you've heard anything encouraging from them or anything indicative from them on progress toward getting these priorities ultimately passed, whether they're in the bipartisan bill that already passed the Senate or perhaps the reconciliation package.
Mike, this is Steve Williams. I'm in constant contact with their senators and Congresswoman Miller's office. As I'm speaking with the senators, there are the realities that we understand of the goings on within the legislative halls. But every time I speak with each of the senators, I always walk away encouraged that they understand what our needs are here, and that as Delegate Hornbuckle said to Uncle Joe, and then we'll say Uncle Joe and then Aunt Shelley, and I'm as old, if not older than them anyway, but that they're going to be, that they understand what our needs are, and they're working to make sure that we have the resources to address our needs.
Yeah, on this particular issue, I haven't had a ton of communication. But in the past, his line has always been open to me, as is Senator Capito's, and obviously Congresswoman Miller. She lives in our backyard. And so I do anticipate as they walk down this path, that there will be more communication going forward and being advocates of our residents back home.
Great. And Lucia, did you want to respond to Mike's question?
Yes, I also wanted to add that I wanted to make clear that it is also a priority for tax incentives and rebates for electric vehicles and investments in advanced manufacturing, because it is one of the biggest steps we can take to reducing air pollution and creating West Virginia jobs. So again, making those tax incentives and rebates a priority is what is important to us right now.
Also, to that point, let me just jump in on one thing. I was part of a conversation with some mayors in the Kanawha Valley yesterday, Mike, and you might speak with the mayor of Nitro. We have to have a clean energy plan in West Virginia. West Virginia doesn't have a clean energy plan. The states around us, Virginia is coming up with one, but the states around us do have a clean energy plan. And this is necessary for us to be able to take full advantage of the direction that we are wanting to go, but also to be able to partner on the federal side. If we don't have full collaboration, local, state, and federal, we're going to miss out grandly.
Thank you, Mayor. And we have one additional question. I want to go to McKenna Horsley. McKenna, if you just want to unmute your line, you can state your question.
Okay. My name is McKenna. I'm from the Herald Dispatch here in Huntington. And my question's kind of for the whole panel, but I was wondering if you could speak to some steps that are being explored at the local and state levels to promote clean energy jobs and resources in West Virginia communities, or maybe steps that could be possible if this budget is passed.
Well, McKenna, it's good to hear your voice, and we'll see each other in the next few days, I'm sure. Skip Bailey pointed out something earlier, is having the partnership with IBEW 317 and Solar Holler. Once again, by being bold with Solar Holler and Coalfield Development, creating the partnership with labor, that does create union paying good, strong, dependable jobs. One of the things that we were talking about at the West Virginia Municipal League yesterday, and the reason that I mentioned having a clean energy plan, is that there's the capacity for some communities to be able to take on their own projects for clean energy. Solar, we've had conversations in Huntington about utilizing some of our buildings for solar panels as well. As I was mentioning, Nitro is talking about creating their own solar panel farm or solar energy farm. The key is this, McKenna, is at the local level, we can identify quicker what works, faster what doesn't, and sooner how to fix it. We are the petri dish of innovation. And I think that a clean energy plan that does include local government, and I'm talking about cities, towns, and villages and counties coming together to be able to move forward, that gives us an opportunity to be able to address these issues. With what we're working on on the High Lawn redevelopment, on brownfields redevelopment, we're looking at how do we utilize and working with the EPA, how we're able to use clean energy and making sure that we're cleaning up brownfield sites to be able to help our area throughout our investments that we're seeking to draw into the community through our water quality board and such, and necessarily requires that we have to be doing all that we can to draw private investment into these areas.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all of our panelists and members of the media. We're at the top of the hour. I know this conversation could go on for a while, but I do want to respect everyone's time. So I want to thank our event sponsors, Moms Clean Air Force and the Blue Green Alliance once again. And thank you to all of our speakers for their time and continued support for significant investment in climate priorities to be included in the Build Back Better budget. Thank you to our members of the media for joining. I should note that a video recording of this event will be available on the Moms Clean Air Force Facebook page. A link to that video will be sent out in the press release within the next hour. If you have any follow-up questions or requests for speaker interviews, you can connect with Kurt Zellers. His contact information was on the press advisory and will be on the media release as well. Thank you again, everyone. Have a terrific day.
Thanks. Good to see you all.
Thank you all.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Tell something,
everybody.
Sean.
Yes, sir.
See you, Skip. Bye, Jim.
Bye-bye.